But on to rugby league. So last week, honestly, guys, just our opinion. We're doing a Dragons preview. Last week, we previewed the Tigers with Dan having them finishing 17th and me having them finishing 15th. So we're going to talk about the Dragons this week because they finished 16th last year. And where do we think they're going to finish this year? Obviously, they have a new coach in Shane Flanagan. He's signed 5 new players since he's taken over.
Yeah, so it's Corey Allen, Tom Eisenhuth, Kyle Flanagan, and Harme Selly. Have I missed anyone there?
No, that's the 5 players he's signed since he took over.
So in terms of their gains for this year...
They've also gained Cyrus Stanley Trail. Did you get that one? Yeah, that's the other one.
Okay.
They were meant to get... what was his name? Ronald Volkman.
Right.
Who was going to be the backup half. But... when he arrived, he had a shoulder injury, so they decided not to sign him. And he was released from the Warriors 2 years early, so he's now in limbo.
Right, okay.
Which is a little bit of a bad thing feel bad for Ronald Volkman. He's going to be out for the season, so the Dragons decided not to take him, even though he'd already been released by the Warriors. So now he's in nothing. But that was basically it. They've lost Billy Burns, Jaden Hunt, Josh Kerr, Alex Lobb, Moses Mbai, Zane Musgrove, Jaden Sullivan, Aaron Woods... and now...
Is it Tyrell Fuimaono? Is that...
he was let go.
he was just let go.
Yeah.
Unsigned.
Now Amona's gone as well.
Yeah, look, so all in all, on the recruitment front there, John, you'd have to say that not much has really changed. And so the only thing really that's changed is the coach?
Well, they've lost one of their best forwards in Josh Kerr. That's it. They've lost one of their best forwards without replacing him. And they've lost all of their halves. This is the big thing about them, right? The coach has changed. They've lost all of their halves. So now the only established halves they have is Ben Hunt and Kyle Flanagan. They were meant to have Ronald Volkman and Amon there as backup halves or bench players or whatever, and they have no one now. So they have literally no depth in the halves.
And I got to say it again, John. We got to be honest with our listeners. Kyle Flanagan's only been signed because his dad's the coach.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the reality. There's a reason why no other team picked him up other than the team that his dad is now.
He's already been through 3 teams or whatever it is at such a young age. He was at the Bulldogs, the Sharks. Flanagan brought him on the Sharks.
Roosters, yeah.
He went to the Bulldogs, then the Roosters, or the Roosters, then the Bulldogs?
Roosters, then the Bulldogs. And the Roosters didn't want a bar of him. They let him go. The Bulldogs picked him up, I think, hoping that, as a struggling club, hoping that he'd realise his potential. And it just didn't happen, John. So you got to think that this is a player who was unwanted by the team that came third last, and now he's joined the team that came second last only because his dad's the coach.
And so they have... We still don't know who the fullback will be either.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about this, John. So Terrell Sloan has been earmarked as the long-term fullback, but we've now got a bit of competition for that spot, don't we? With Zach Lomax training at fullback. Corey Allen's there now. John, I read...
Corey Allen's out for a year.
Yeah, so I read... So he's got a knee injury and he's out for a year.
Yeah, so
so he's no longer an option there.
Yeah, this is the thing, because on the same day, Ronald Volkman and Corey Allen were both ruled out for the year.
So wasn't Corey Allen only signed to a 1-year deal?
Yep.
So how does that work?
It's
you
so
sign
bad.
someone on a 1-year deal who's out for that year.
Because he got injured at training. So it's it was actually devastating.
So he may never play for them then. He may get picked up by someone else without ever playing for them.
So on the same day, Corey Allen ruptured his ACL at training. We discussed with Sam Kerr. It's the same injury as Sam Kerr. He'll be out for a full year.
So what is it? But is it a 2-way battle between Sloan and Lomax now?
Yeah, and Lomax is a centre. So in reality, they'll probably go. They don't have a centre. They don't have any centres.
So they may as well have Sloan at fullback and Lomax in the centre. So
this is your spine. This is out of the squad. I tried to put it together this morning. Look at this, because the squad's down to 27 players as well in their top 30. So it's the likely spine. My thing would be Tyrell Sloan at 1, Kyle Flanagan at 6, Ben Hunt at 7, and Jacob Little at 9. That's the best I can do. Now, you talk about Willie Mason bagging Newcastle's spine and only having Kalen Ponga. Well, what would you prefer? Newcastle's spine with Kalen Pong or the Dragons' spine with Ben Hunt?
Yeah, you would prefer Newcastle. Spine,
and so you want to bag a spine, Willie. Like, you're gonna have to look at the Dragons pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle Flanagan is. I mean, he was previously a 7, and they're going to move him to 6. That was the thing. You got Ben Hunt, who doesn't want to be there, who I rate as the most overrated player.
So what I was going to ask you about him. So what's the latest with Hunt? Is he going to stay put, or is he still niggling?
It's all those guys are now stuck until 2025. Now that Jerome Luai is gone, done his signature, and he's not moving until 2025. Ben Hunt is leaving in 2025.
At the end of 25 or
beginning? He'll be released for 2025.
Right,
because they're all trying to find someone.
Right, so is he still? He's under contract until the end of 25, but you think he'll be released? He'll be released for
season? They basically asked him to play out this season because there's no one to sign for this season.
And it's not good knowing that we really know that he just doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, and so my opinion, honestly, guys, just my opinion. Most overrated player in the league is their gun spine member. You have Jacob Little, who's no slouch, but he's Jacob Little. Like, what's he played? Like, like 30 games or whatever. He's 27 years old. He's not a gun hooker. He's played 96 games since 2016. He's been in and out of first grade. And then Tyrell Sloan, simply because the reason I put Tyrell Sloan as first is because they have no other centres, so Zach Lomax has to play centre.
Yeah, so Sloan has to play fullback.
Yeah. It's like they have no depth. Dragons have no depth. Literally none in the halves. They have none in the halves. So there's Cody Ramsey, who would have been also pushing for fullback, but he's still sick. He was out all last year with an illness, and he's still sick. He's not coming back. It's good that the Dragons are taking care of him, but they don't have any backup fullbacks. They don't have any backup halves, and their best hooker is Jacob Little. They've already got...
Stocks are thin, John.
Yeah, 2 major injuries, and they've lost one of their best forwards.
Is Paul Turner, is he at the... I think he's at the Dragons now? Is he another... I think he played for the Warriors and the Titans. I'm not sure if he might give him another option there at fullback, John, if Sloan doesn't work out.
I can't remember. I looked at the squad this morning. He is.
Yeah. So he could potentially give him another option there, John. But
so he can play 5'8" or fullback. He's in the train-ons development squad, whatever. He's played one game. He played one game last year. He's not a first grade.
Yeah, a lot would have to go wrong with Sloan for someone like Turner to get a look.
If this is your depth, you're in a lot of trouble.
Scraping the barrel, John.
Yeah. He's played 11 games in 3 years for the Warriors and Titans. 2022 was his breakout year with 7 games where he scored 1 try. I honestly can see nothing for next year. No matter what who Shane Flanagan is or whatever, I can see nothing. There's no new signings coming. They've already missed out on some big name players that we talked about a few episodes ago. No one wants to go to the Dragons. Shane Flanagan can't get signatures for next year. They don't have depth. They don't have a strong forward pack. Apparently Jack Bird is going to be playing in the back row, but he may be going as well. Or he wants out as well. Is some rumours that I'm hearing. Their backs are looking thin.
I think for some reason he's been training in the centres too. Jack Bird, I was reading.
Maybe to trial Zach Lomax, and it's like Jack Bird's not a good centre. He's a good back row. I don't think he's a good centre. He's played centre before.
It just seems like they've got no choice but to put Lomax in the centres because Sloan is at fullback and. There's just no other options.
Yeah, there's no other options. That's the thing with it amazes me that the Dragons are in such a terrible state actually with their squad.
So I guess if we're looking at where they're going to finish, John, look, I've got them niggling up a little bit only because you go, well, what's changed? All right, they've got a much better coach now. And so I'm sure he will...
Who was their coach before?
Oh, Griffin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm taking Shane Flanagan over Anthony Griffin, John.
Yeah,
He's
100%.
got the runs on the board. He took Cronulla. We should remember, he took Cronulla from, and this is one positive for Dragons fans, took Cronulla from being down the bottom of the ladder into a premiership team in 2016. So we've got to give Shane Flanagan credit for that. He knows what he's doing. He will instill better habits in this squad, even though there's been very little movement on the recruitment front. He will instill better habits. They'll have a better attitude under him. I think for that reason, I'm moving them up a couple of spots. I've got them finishing 14th, John.
You are mad.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to move up a little bit because I've got a couple of others in mind who I think might drop down the ladder, which I won't reveal yet, John. I'll wait till we get to it.
Like I said the other day, I have them finishing 17th. Simply because if...
So you think they're going to be the Spooners instead of the Tigers?
It'll be... Dragons fans are not patient and they're not they don't accept failure.
So how long do you reckon they'll give Flanagan? If things don't... If he struggles in the next couple of years, which he's going to because they don't have the players... How patient are they going to be?
I was thinking about this a lot last night. I think the best possible outcome for Flanagan is to actually get the spoon. Actually. Because then the following year, he can push for like 14th and 13th, and it will be a massive success, and it will give him a much more leeway with the Dragons fans. Because the Dragons club as a whole is run by the fans. You know, they're super vocal. They have the oust-doused signs, you know, like they whatever the fans say and whine about, the club tends to follow when it comes to staffing and coaching and stuff like that. So if he gets the spoon this year, and then next year changes to a team that isn't avoiding the wooden spoon and he's sitting around that like next step up, it extends his lifeblood by like another 3 years. Mm. If he doesn't get the spoon this year and battles to avoid the spoon, which is very likely, and then does it again next year, then it will be a massive... Like the Dragons fans will be like, oust Flanagan. I can't think of a rhyme. They're pretty creative, but yeah. But I think they're destined for the spoon this year, just mainly because if they get any injuries, they don't have the squad to cover anywhere. Only the forwards. They're okay in the back row, and they're okay. Like all of their squad forwards over their top forwards are around the same level. Actually, you have guys like Jack DeBellin and Jack Bird and. I can't think of who else, but Jack DeBell and Jack Bird, who are like a little bit a step above, but their squad contains a pretty consistent level of forwards. So forwards going down is not a bad thing. But like I said, if the centre goes down, well, Jack Bird's moving from the back row to the centres. If your fullback goes down, your centre is having to go to fullback, and Jack Bird is going to have to move from the back row to the centres. That's all we have there. Unless Cody Ramsey suddenly gets better and comes back into the squad.
Because he's got an illness out indefinitely at the moment.
Out indefinitely. He was out all year with it. I don't know what the illness is. I've seen it's got some scientific name, so I can't remember it. But unless he gets better and comes back, if he gets better and comes back, it changes the depth, and then you do actually have people pushing for the fullback and stuff like that, and there's more realistic competition over Zach Lomax, a centre, vying for fullback position.
That halves combination really worries me.
Yeah.
Kyle Flanagan at 5'8", who's only there because of his dad, and Ben Hunt at halfback, who we've said doesn't have any influence over the result, even though he's on over $1 million a year. That I look at that and I just go, seriously, this is our halves combination? I mean, it's really not much to get excited about, and that's their first choice halves combination.
Well, it's at the moment it's their only halves combination.
I'm really, really concerned about that from a Dragons
point. So if they had if Volkman hadn't have gone down, then he's probably in theory a better player than Kyle Flanagan. If Volkman hadn't have failed his assessment and actually been able to come into the squad. So Ben Hunt and Ronald Volkman as the halves is a little bit up. But even then, it's still not good enough to push for any top 8, nothing. Their spine is dead. Like, they've got, honestly, nothing. They have some guys like Ravalawa who can put points on the board, but they don't have a team that is a real top 8 level team.
No. And not even close.
Shane Flanagan is not Wayne Bennett. or Craig Bellamy, who can take a team that on paper doesn't look like a top 8 team, come up with a tactic that works perfectly for them, and instill a whole wall of defence, and then get them to the 8.
He can, over a number of years, build a team into that. But he can't do it with a team that's on paper looks like that.
Yeah. Because when Wayne Bennett came into the Dragons, they had no superstars, and they had guys who were fringe first graders like Jamie Soward and things like that. And then Wayne Bennett did sign some guys like ex-Origin player Neville Costigan, who everyone said was past it. Nathan Feen, who everyone said was past it. And then Wendell Saylor, who everyone was like, oh, a guy coming back for a 2-year suspension. And created a perfect game plan around them that was just 100% defence and then exploitation of the downtown rule with Jamie Soward's kicking. That's what it was. And that was able to get them straight away into something. Shane Flanagan isn't that coach. He's the coach that over 7 years will take all these guys and turn them into first graders, high quality first graders. Don't be surprised.
While doing other recruiting around it, key recruiting.
Don't be surprised if in 7 years, Tyrell Sloan is Clive Churchill medal winning fullback for the Dragons. I wouldn't be surprised.
It'll happen in the future, but not this year.
Yeah, nothing. You'll get nothing out of him this year.
To be fair to Shane Flanagan, though, John, I think if Craig Bellamy or Wayne Bennett or Ivan Cleary were coaching this Dragons team,
well, they wouldn't be a top 8 team.
I don't think they'd be getting any results either. So, in defence of Shane Flanagan, I don't think any coach could get results out of this 17.
Well, I think they wouldn't be a top 8 team with Wayne Bennett or Craig Bellamy or Ivan Cleary, but they wouldn't be a wooden spoon team either. And it's just because of the coaches. Or it doesn't matter who you are outside of those super coaches. This team is a wooden spoon team.
It's certainly a bottom 4 team. As I say, I've got them 14th only because I think Shane Flanagan
I hope
will instill better habits. I'm being a bit kind, John. I'm being a bit charitable, but I think he will have some sort of an impact. But it's not going to be anywhere. It's not going to be enough to get him out of the bottom 4 this year.
No, definitely not. Yeah, so that's it for the Dragons. Keeping in mind, I'm a massive Dragons fan, and I still think this for them. So if people see this on the internet and start abusing us, as they do, we'll get to social media blow-uppers pretty soon. Next week it will be Dan's Bulldogs.
Thursday, yes.
Yes, Thursday it'll be the Bulldogs. We'll see how they go.
Yes.
Maybe Dan has more faith in the Bulldogs than I have in my Dragons. But we'll see.
Will be revealed on Thursday, John.